chills every time. First things first, massive shout out to our friend Alex Malloy and hooking us up with a sick intro and sick new graphics. So today we want to answer the question, if Bucky was inserted into this metagame, would it make a difference? Our list here is basically just a slight upgrade of what existed right before Bucky got banned. We added all the new cards such as Pete, I'm Still Here, and of course the new Shift Pete. We all know what Bucky does, we just added some cards in which we thought would be included if it were to exist in this current meta. This here is how we believe that the current blue steel list would be built if Bucky were to be the current quote-unquote Menace. David added in things like extra fire cannons and extra cantrips that draw cards and won't create card disadvantage against Bucky. There's not really much to talk about with these current lists. We both know what they are, what they do, how oppressive they are or how oppressive they have been. So let's dive in and see how these games go. So let me briefly apologise and just say that I am currently just getting over a cold and a sinus infection. While things are shuffling up, while we're getting ready to start the game, I'd like to know everyone's thoughts on what they believe is the worst card in the format or how the format could be fixed. As we can see, stellar starts for both decks. Notably, that was something that was missing during the Bucky format, was cards like Sail the Azurite Sea. Even playing this card gave me flashbacks. We love to see a hard cast spell there. I genuinely believe that the Bucky nerf was maybe just a little too far. I think removing Ward would have helped massively. Prince John was just added to the Bucky decks nearer the time that it got banned. I believe if it was found a lot sooner, the deck could have been a lot more powerful. Before we put the decks together, we did have a at-length discussion and we did say that cards like Grab Your Sword could be beneficial in the blue steel deck. However, I do admit, building for this video was incredibly hard because it was really difficult, I guess, not to metagame against the other deck. Not really much to discuss here, but I do want to point out how gorgeous the Cinderella mat is. In Birmingham, we got every member of the Scottish community to sign it for us. Also at the Birmingham DLC is where a WC TCG member, Daryl Burns, got his top 32. David got top 64, and myself, I got top 128. That was just David asking me to separate the cards as I had the Diablo laid over the Bucky, which I tend to do to save board space. Come on, admit it. We've all done it. Obviously the items here for David make the board states just a little bit more equal. That's where the conflict comes in though with Bucky. People believe it was Diablo, people believe it was Bucky. What do you think? When Diablo's tapped and you're so far behind, it is just incredibly hard to catch up. Whiteboard, exerted Diablo, yeah, that's probably good enough. Much better start for David this game with the turn 1 item. This game too, however, I do remember that my hand was clogged with uninkables. Hands up if you remember the double Bucky shift Diablo starts. It's funny, when I'm listening to myself speak, is it Diablo? Is it Diablo? Both the same thing, right? As you can see there with the brief flash of them off that's in my hand, I do believe that playing them off and adding it to the cove would have been the right play there. I'll play devil's advocate here for a minute. This is the games where you just look at Hiram and you realise I am just going to fall so far behind because Hiram is going to be drawing 2 cards a turn. I do forget that the Pete was played the turn before there. I think the correct line of play here was to play the Morph, play an Inkable, and add a couple of things into the Cove. Because at this point in time, we had a Beast Tragic Hero in hand. David having the Tinkerbell here was absolutely backbreaking. It just keeps all our characters standing up. For what it's worth, I obviously mis-sequenced quite a lot there, but I don't think it matters in the long run. I will say that the 4-cost Jafar did feel quite good. Just another card that Blue Steel didn't have at the time where Bucky reigned supreme. Tamatoa being able to draw 2 items from the discard is just incredible. I don't think it's very hard to work out that David is basically just putting the finishing touches in this game. No Aaron, not even a Tinkerbell will save you here. Look at that fair and balanced Lorcana TCG card, Hiram Flaversham. So easy to beat. While we're waiting for Game 3 to start, I would really appreciate it if you took a second just to like, subscribe, and let us know what you think down in the comments. I do admit I really do like the 6-cost Pete from the new set. I do believe it's quite strong. There's Bucky. Let's see how this game goes. Obviously David would have much preferred a sail there over the Tipo, as going down a card against Bucky seems very scary. I do think it's worth pointing out that in all three of these games, both decks haven't had their quote-unquote nut draws. Like, I haven't had Shift Diablo, David hasn't had Item, Sail, Hiram, and the games still feel really close. I can't really see his hand there, but it felt like he played the Fortisphere to draw an Inkable for Hiram. Kinda lucky. At this point, we're just praying that in the 3 cards that David draws, he doesn't find an answer for the Diablo. David exerting the Hiram there does mean that we get to take it off the board and draw a card with Jafar, which feels incredibly good, but it does mean that on the crackback, our board probably does get took away as well. I played the Ursula to check for no songs and also to check if David had Tinkerbell, because I was considering taking people off of the board here with Diablo. I added that little line of text in there saying that I should have quested with the Bucky. However, I don't believe it's right. Keeping the Bucky standing up here does sort of force a Tinkerbell. It just means that David can't challenge it to take it off the board, which means he could have played something else other than the Tinkerbell. If David wanted to banish the Bucky, of course. I'm still here, ensuring that Diablo stays around for another turn is absolutely massive. I do have to say that the Scrooge whiffing there was really good for us. For a couple of turns I did have a We Don't Talk About Bruno in hand. I was just looking for the right moment to play it into the Tinkerbell. However, in hindsight, I don't really think there was a good time to play it. My thought behind using the Bruno on the Tinkerbell there was just to try and make my board really wide and make it just a little bit harder for David to come back. David pointing at the Robin Hood there was him saying that he believed it was correct to challenge and take the Scrooge off the board rather than use the Tinkerbell. Aye, right, Aaron. Just imagine Pete worked for every character, not just pirates. I do spend a fair amount of time here discussing with David what the best character to put in the Cove would be, and he says it was a Tinkerbell, simply just to make it that little bit harder to banish from a song. That grab is just so good. At this point, we're just trying to race David and trying to force David's characters to go sideways. It was round about here that I realised that the 6 cost Pete is actually not that bad. You could tell that David was incredibly hesitant to ink the fishbone quill, so us getting to sing the Bruno, take care of it, play the Robin, add it to the Cove was just massive there. So for my own personal closing thoughts, I do believe that Bucky should be where it is. I do believe that it should stay incredibly nerfed. However, I do think that Sapphire may just be a slight problem because the games where you lose to Hiram Flaversham feel just as bad as the games that you lost to Bucky. However, they don't feel quite as miserable as sitting with no cards in hand. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.